everybody. My name is Catherine Rayner and I'm an author and an illustrator, and that means I'm very lucky. For my job I get to write children's picture books for people like you. I'm talking to you today from my studio, and you can see there are lots and lots of arty bits and bobs. I have got, well, it's a bit of a mess really. I probably should have tidied it up for talking to you, but this is natural, and this is where I do all my paintings and write all my books, and I'm talking to you through the computer at one end of my studio, and then at the other end you can see, and it's hard doing it in reverse, I've got chests of drawers with all my work in, and I've got bottles of ink, and I've got all my sketchbooks and stuff. So here's a little peek inside my world too. So I'm going to read you, hopefully, if we've got time, 4 stories today. And they're all about animals because I love animals, and I have got lots of pets of my own at home. I have got a horse called Shannon. I have got 2 water snails. I've got 2 fish and a cat and a dog. But I don't have, I've also got 2 children, your age, which is lovely, who love all our pets too. I wonder if you've got any pets at home, any of you. But I wonder if any of you have got any unusual pets. I don't think anybody will have one of these in their house. A giraffe, but maybe you do. I don't know. If you do, you need to write to me because I'd love to know what it'd be like to have a pet giraffe. So this is a book about Abigail, and she is learning how to count, and I'd imagine some of you are learning how to count too. So just to practice, let's all count to 10 together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Brilliant. Well, what I want you to do is count along with me. Do you think you might be able to do that? When you see the big numbers and I give you a bit of a nod, I need you to count along, okay? Abigail loved to count. It was her very favourite thing. She counted the spots on Ladybird. 1, 2, 3. But Ladybird scuttled under a leaf. There's the Ladybird. So Abigail counted the leaves on the tree. 4, 5, 6, but somebody was eating the leaves. Crunch, munch, lunch. Abigail really wanted to count, so she started counting zebra stripes. 7, 8, 9. It's incredibly difficult to count when you're moving, Zebra, grumbled Abigail. But Zebra just couldn't help it. And there was no point in even trying to count Cheetah's splotches. Whoosh! He was just too fast. Come back, everybody, said Abigail crossly. Oh dear, sighed Abigail. There must be something I can count. I know, just the thing, whispered Ladybird. There she is. Can you see? Follow me. Flowers, giggled Zebra. Come on, we'll help you count. Unfortunately, Abigail's friends were not very good at counting. 1, 2, 5, lots, bellowed Zebra. 1, 3, 7, many, laughed Cheetah. It was impossible. But Abigail was a very patient giraffe. Carefully, she showed her friends how to count. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All day long they practiced until at last their counting was perfect, nearly perfect. But by that time, it was dark. "Oh no," grunted Zebra. "How can we count when the sun has gone?" Cheetah's tail drooped. Ladybird frowned. But Abigail just smiled. "Don't give up, everyone. Look." High above, the stars were twinkling, and they weren't going anywhere. Together, Abigail and her friends counted all night long. 3 friends, 1,267 stars, and there are, and 1 Abigail. And that is the story of Abigail the giraffe. And I wondered if you might like to have a little look inside my sketchbook at some of the drawings I made of Abigail before I made the real paintings that are in the book. Because I don't just draw straight into the book, I have to practice. And I'm sure you do lots of practice of drawings as well, don't you? Do you? I think you probably do. And for every book that I illustrate, I think I do about 1,000 little drawings to make sure that I'm going to do it how I want it, so that it's going to look how I want it to look. So here are some of the little drawings. It's difficult to show you and I'm backwards, so there we go. So these are some of the little layout drawings where I'm trying to work out what would look nice on the page. And then here, and so are some of the original paintings of Abigail. And I wonder if you can see, there you go, I use real gold paint for Abigail's splotches. It's magical paint. Can you see it shining in the light? These are real pictures. And if you were to touch them, they're knobbly because the paint's so thick. So I do all my practice drawings in a book so that I don't lose them, because otherwise I'd lose them. And then another thing that I like to do is plan out the book and work out what's going to go on every single page. And these are the tiny little pictures that I do. They're called thumbnails, and they show you what's going to be on every single page, and they help me to decide. So there you go. That is Abigail. And that's a little bit of the behind the scenes work too. Right, I'm going to read you another story now. Now, I mentioned my pets, didn't I? I told you that I'd got lots of pets, and I mentioned my fish. And recently, I have written and illustrated a book all about my fish, because I love him. And this book is called My Pet Goldfish. So I'll read it to you. Look, he's got shiny bubbles on the front cover. Can you see? So, when I was 4, I got my first ever pet. A fish, no bigger than my hand, with red and orange scales. There he is. My very own goldfish. He didn't have a name yet, so I got to choose one. And I called him Richard. Richard went to live in the big tank in our kitchen with all my sister's fish. There were lots of plants for him to nibble, rocks for him to suck, and pebbles to search through for bits of food. After school, I would tell Richard about my day. He would swim over when he saw me, wiggling his tail. If I gently touched the glass, he would follow my finger. People think goldfish forget things quickly, but that can't be right, because Richard definitely knew who I was. One day, my friend Sandy came over to meet Richard. Sandy lives next door and he knows a lot about fish. Richard was hiding at first and we couldn't see where. Then we spotted him. When he's still, Sandy told me, that means he's having a nap, even though his eyes look open. That's because fish don't have eyelids. Richard seemed to hear Sandy. He swam up to the surface and started blowing bubbles. He does that when he's hungry, I said, and gave him some fish flakes. He likes eating these, but worms are his favourite. Worms, said Sandy. He sounded impressed. I wonder if my fish like worms. Sandy showed me the pond in his garden. It was full of goldfish. They wiggled and whirled through the water, their scales shining. These fish were much bigger than Richard. I looked closely. There were some tiny grey fish too, the size of dots. Look at those ones, I said, pointing. Those are the babies, said Sandy. Their scales will get brighter as they grow up. Sandy's fish were all different shapes and colours. There was even one that looked like it was wearing goggles. That one's a telescope goldfish, Sandy told me. She's very fancy. A huge fish swam up. It was massive, nearly as long as my arm. This is Goldie, said Sandy. He's 18, even older than my brother. Richard's only 2, I said, frowning. But if he gets as big as Goldie, he won't fit in our tank. That's okay, Sandy told me. Then he can live in our pond, and you can see him all the time. I liked the sound of that. Richard would have a lot of space for swimming and new friends too. Richard grew and grew and grew. When he was 4.5, he was finally ready to live in Sandy's beautiful pond. I go and see him all the time. I sit by the edge of the pond and he swims up doing the same happy little dance and wiggling his tail as if to say, remember me? See him? There he is. That is the story of my pet goldfish. And I have to say, I loved painting the pictures in this book. All the colours, all the plants and the water and all the swirls and the light, the way the light catches the water. It was an absolute joy to paint these pictures. So I really hoped you enjoyed that. Right, we have got time for another story. Are you ready for another one? Now this one is about something I kind of hope none of you've got one of these as a pet at home. Because they would be very loud. They'd have a very loud roar. Crumbs, your neighbours would be so confused if you had a lion living in your house. Can you imagine? The noise would be incredible. But this is a very sleepy lion. It's a story all about Arlo, and he can't get to sleep. So I'm going to read you this story, and I wonder if it's going to make you feel sleepy. It's not really sleep time for you at the moment, but I read this in a school, well, it was last year now, and 3 children fell asleep. I couldn't believe it. We had to very gently wake them up, and they were ever so puzzled because I think they'd gone into quite a deep sleep. So this is the story about Arlo. Find the right page. Arlo was a very tired lion. He had tried everything, but he could not get to sleep. The grass was too prickly and the earth was too hard. The trees were too noisy, but the desert was too quiet. The sun was too hot, but the night was too cold. His family were warm, but they wiggled too much. Everybody knows that lions need a lot of sleep, and Arlo was exhausted. Poor Arlo. Will I ever sleep again? Arlo sighed. But Arlo wasn't the only one who was awake. Of course you will, said a voice from above. I sleep through the day when it's bright, noisy and hot. Shall I tell you how? Shall I tell you how? And the owl began to sing. Have a good stretch from your nose to your toes. Do a little wriggle, let your eyes gently close. Relax your whole body, slow your breathing right down. Imagine you're sinking into the soft ground. Think about places where you'd like to be, the things that you do there and what you might see. As you fall into calmness, so comfy and deep, your mind will rest and you'll drift off to sleep. Arlo stretched and wriggled and tried to relax. Well, Owl sang her song once more. Arlo thought of the places he would like to go and see. He imagined bounding up mountains, wading in rivers and climbing enormous trees. Then Arlo imagined he might need a rest, so he pictured himself cuddled up with his cosy, snoring family. There he is. And before long, he was sleeping too. Arlo woke up feeling the sun on his coat. He had been asleep for hours and felt happy, fresh and full of energy. He couldn't wait to tell Owl. Little Owl, roared Arlo, I slept, hooray! Well done, came a tired voice from above. But now you've woken me up. I'm sorry, said Arlo. Shall I sing your song to you? Owl nodded her tired head. Oh. And Arlo began to sing. And while he sang, Owl thought of the places she would like to go and see. She imagined flying over open waters, soaring high and fast and gliding through wild forests. Before she knew it, Owl felt starlight on her feathers. She had slept through the day and felt wonderful and rested. Hooray! Arlo and Owl cheered together. We're pleased you've slept, but now you've woken us all up, the grumpy lion pride grumbled. Sorry, said Arlo, but we know what to do, hooted Owl, and Arlo and Owl sang together. Have a good stretch from your nose to your toes. Do a little wriggle. Let your eyes gently close. Relax your whole body. Slow your breathing right down. Imagine you're sinking into the soft ground. Think about places where you'd like to be, the things you do there and what you might see. As you fall into calmness, so comfy and deep, your mind will rest and you'll drift off to sleep. And before long, everyone was asleep, including Arlo. Everyone, that is, except Owl. Who looked out over her friends, spread her wings and flew silently away, looking forward to the long, quiet night ahead. There she goes. That is the story of Arlo, the lion who couldn't sleep. Does anybody feel sleepy? I wonder if they do. I do. I feel a bit sleepy. I did yawn there, didn't I? I think about Arlo's rhyme when I'm going to sleep and it helps me relax. I relax my whole body, I make my breathing slow down, and I think about all the lovely places I'd love to go. And it makes me feel really happy and really calm. So if you can, I think you should try that too when you're falling asleep. I think you might find that it makes you have lovely dreams. Right, we've got one more story. Now, For this story, I just need to check that you've all got something very important with you. I'm sure you will have. But have you all remembered to bring your smiles with you today? Because I'm going to read you a story all about Augustus the Tiger and his smile. It's a quick one, so have a little wriggle if you need a little shift, and then sit comfortably for one last book. So, Augustus the Tiger was sad. He had lost his smile. So he did a huge tigery stretch. Oh, everybody have a stretch. And he set off to find it. First, he crept under a cluster of bushes. He found a small, shiny beetle, but he couldn't see his smile. Then he climbed to the tops of the tallest trees. He found birds that chirped and called, but he couldn't find his smile. Further and further Augustus searched. He scaled the crests of the highest mountains where the snow clouds swirled, making frost buttons in the freezing air. He swam to the bottom of the deepest oceans and splished and splashed with shoals of tiny, shiny fish. He pranced and paraded through the largest desert, making shadow shapes in the sun. Augustus padded further and further through shifting sands until pitter, patter, drip, drop, plop. Augustus danced and raced as raindrops bounced and flew. He splashed through puddles bigger and deeper. He raced towards a huge silver blue puddle and saw there, under his nose, his smile. And Augustus realised that his smile would be there whenever he was happy. He only had to swim with the fish, or dance in the puddles, or climb the mountains and look at the world, for happiness was everywhere around him. Augustus was so pleased that he hopped and skipped and jumped away, smiling. That is the story of Augustus and his smile. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it makes you think about the things that make you smile too. Now I'm going to very quickly show you how to paint your own Augustus. So if you come over here with me, over to this table here, I'll show you. And hello, here I am. It's me. I'll say hi. At my drawing table, and I'm going to draw you a picture. And what I'm going to use is one pencil. They're all very small because I use all these pencil crayons quite a lot. A pen and some ink. And I thought you'd like to see how I drew Augustus, because he's quite fun to draw, because he comes together quite quickly on a piece of paper. So now here, just make sure you can see. I'm watching the camera as well. Here we go. Here he is. Now he's got an ear here and an ear here, and then he sort of comes down like this, doesn't he? There he is. And there's a smile. Very important. I hope we've all been thinking about what makes us smile. Here are his stripes. Well, they're sort of stripes, aren't they? No, they are stripes, those ones. And here are his other stripes. So he's really just made up of lots of different sort of shapes, like squares and triangles and straight lines, circles and squiggly bits. Now, this is my favourite coloured pencil in the world, and they don't make it anymore. So I'm sharing my last dregs of my pencil crayon with you lot. So I hope that you like this. So what I'm going to do is, there we go. colour him in. Now this is a special watercolour pencil crayon, and what watercolour pencil crayon means that if you rub over it with water, it goes all nice and runny. So I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to use that brown, and then I'm going to use a slightly darker brown for his darker brown bits, like this. And then I'm going to smudge it all a little bit just to make him look really 3D and really nice. So here are his dark brown bits. And I know he looks terribly scribbly at the moment, but in just a few minutes, he's going to look really, really watercolory and nice. And whilst I'm over here, I'm going to pick up a pink pencil crayon too. So here we go. I've got a mug of water. I've got a pink pencil crayon for his nose. I didn't want to forget that bit. I've got a cup of water. And look what happens. Just dip your fingers in there. And look, it goes and turns into paint, which is really lovely to work with. So here he is. There we go. I'll add it all around here, all around his nose, all around here. And then one of my most used pieces of equipment, and you'd never guess what it was, is let me plug it in, hang on. I bet nobody can guess. Try guessing. What do you think it is? Do you think it's oh, hang on, I think I've plugged in the wrong thing now. Have I? Or have I not? I bet you really, really don't know what this is now. You'll never guess. Let me see. It's a hairdryer. So have I plugged it in? Yes, I have. I use a hairdryer. And it just means that it dries a little bit more quickly. So sometimes, even if I come to see you, it's ever so hot, I'd bring my hairdryer with me because I'd need to dry my pictures when I was drawing to you. So now, I think I might use this pen now. I'm going to draw his eye and some lines around here, his ears, his nose, his smile, his dots. His dots are very important. And here we go, we'll do a bit more of this. And then in pencil crayon, I think I'll draw this. And some more lines here. And maybe go up here a little bit of beard. But there's something missing. I can't really remember what it is. I know. It was the stripes. Augustus needs stripes. Stripes make him look ever so smart. And here they are. And this is just ink. So you could use any kind of black paint you liked. But you can see it spreads a little bit, which I really like because it makes him look furry. So here we go. Some lovely tigery stripes. I think tigers are one of my favourite animals too. I like guinea pigs, goldfish, tigers. I like horses as well. I wonder what your favourite animals are. Here we go. So, there we go. Here we go. And one more stripe. Oh, I don't want to go wrong at this point. Mind you, you can't really make mistakes in illustration, which is why it's one of the most lovely things. And I sometimes think a wobbly line is one of the nicest things in the world. And there is Augustus. You see, it wasn't so hard after all, was it? And what I will do now is some whiskers, because whiskers are my favourite things to draw. There we go. Put some other little lines in here. Oh, you can maybe hear that wind howling outside. There we go. And that is how you draw Augustus, and also his smile. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. It's always so lovely to paint Augustus. He's one of my favourite characters, and he always makes me smile, and he makes me think about things that make me smile as well. So he's a happy, happy tiger. I want to thank you today for watching and for joining in and for listening so beautifully. I hope you've really, really enjoyed the session and watching this. And I hope you all have a really, really lovely day. It's goodbye from me in my studio. See you soon.